In the early morning hours on May 23, 2016, C-Shift responded to a structure fire at a vacant single-story single-family structure in 47 Zone. While conducting ventilation, crews quickly realized that many of the openings on the exterior of the structure had been covered up with clear panels, which were later discovered to be quarter-inch polycarbonate. Recognizing these as potential obstructions to entry or egress, C-Shift immediately began testing different tactics to open these panels using a variety of tools and equipment. This research was continued on A-Shift the next day, both at the structure itself and on pieces of polycarbonate which had been brought back to the station for further research. The purpose of this video is to go over the various ways in which these panels are affixed to a structure and cover the forcible entry tactics recommended by both the Training Bureau and the Operations Bureau. Contact was made with 911 Restorations, the company who currently holds the contract to install these polycarbonate panels throughout the city. At the time of this video, over 100 properties have had these panels installed. First things first, these polycarbonate panels go by many trade names such as Lexan, Sunsky, Dynaglass, and so on and so forth. The material 911 Restorations is currently using is quarter-inch polycarbonate held by 3/8 inch bolts at either 12 or 14 inches in length. There are two primary methods in which these panels are installed. One way, as shown here, is where the 3/8 inch bolt and the washer lie flat against the polycarbonate. The other method is where the polycarbonate is sandwiched between two 2x4 studs. One slightly different configuration, as seen here, is used when damaging the intact window is not an option and the bolts only protrude through the open windows on the lower half of the frame. In other words, no bolts will be found at the top of this kind of window. We experimented with all three types of blades that we carry on our gas-powered saws. As you can see, all the blades we carry had no problems breaching the polycarbonate. We even tried the ultimate blade, which is a diamond impregnated blade mainly used to cut concrete. As you can see, it cut through, though a little bit slower than the carbide tipped or the diamond tipped multi-purpose blade did. We also experimented with hole saw bits, but due to the success of our gas-powered saws, we did not recommend the addition of these to our truck inventories. That being said, the bit of choice would be a 1.25" diameter hole saw bit at about 3 inches in length. This would be just enough to encompass the washer and long enough to cut through not only the polycarbonate, but a 2x4 found on top. Whether the bolt laid flush against the polycarbonate or if there was a 2x4 in between, using the diamond-tipped multi-purpose blade on a light angle worked well to cut the bolts. The panel can then be removed without an issue. Open doorways will typically be secured with 2x4 studs both inside and out. If for some reason the bolts are giving you a bad day, going through the panel itself is acceptable. Here's a good tip from Captain Pingle. If you can, you may want to consider making your horizontal cuts prior to your vertical cuts. This becomes especially important when cutting a large opening, such as a garage door, as this cut is the more difficult and energy-consuming cut you will make. The remaining cuts allow the weight of the saw to assist as you cut downwards. For panels installed over intact windows, a small opening made in part of the frame, followed by cutting of the 2x4s, allows the whole assembly to be easily removed. So far, we've covered a variety of methods of forcing entry into a structure, but what if you are on the inside and need to get out? Since these polycarbonate panels are essentially sandwiched by the 2x4s on the inside, if they are cut or otherwise broken down using hand tools or whatever, the whole assembly will fall out, as shown here. So in summary, these quarter-inch polycarbonate panels are held by 3/8-inch bolts between 12 and 14 inches in length. Some of these panels have additional 2x4 studs holding them in place. Over 100 properties within the city of Fort Lauderdale have these polycarbonate panels installed as of the making of this video in July 2016. Current ventilation saws are very efficient in opening these panels. And we also discovered that the carbide bit hole saws work well if your organization carries these. We recommend the 1 1/4 bits, 3 inches in length. Crews are encouraged to locate structures within their territory that have these panels installed and review tactics and strategies involved for forcing entry or egress. In addition, take the time to review your gas-powered saws, inclusive of general maintenance, blade types, and general saw etiquette. A special thank you to all the operations crews who took the initiative to experiment with all the possible ways to breach these panels. Thank you for allowing us in the Training Bureau to compile all this data so we all can learn and all be on the same page. Another thank you goes out to Fire Prevention and to Captain Stranhagen for providing us the contacts for 911 restoration. Thank you to 911 Restoration for being subject matter experts for us and replacing all the panels we damaged while conducting this training. Take care and be safe.